I think for me the most interesting part to start with is how this all came about. The recruiting of people here to go to Africa. What was the spark for you?
The spark, I wanted to go back. My colleague wanted to go back. That's Dr. Banjoko, who we started this together. That started way, I was early 2000, 2001, 2002. We wanted to go back to Africa. And we said, we looked around at the other platforms out there that actually showcases opportunities in African countries. There were none. So we said, you know what, let's create something that would service the African market. So we came up with Find a Job in Africa.
But you couldn't have done this if there hadn't been a stability returning to the region. I mean, you can have the best ideas in the world, but if people don't want to go, so what changed in sub-Saharan Africa to allow you to do that?
Well, the political landscape started changing. You had a situation in Nigeria whereby, for the first time in a long time, you had a democratically elected government in power. And essentially, in addition to that as well, you now had a situation whereby telecoms was actually becoming a major player in African countries. The capacity to build was actually an issue. They didn't have enough people locally who can actually provide the skill set. So through the creation of the portal, we're able to assist a lot of the telecommunications organization to be able to attract skills to opportunities that they have in African countries. That's how it started.
Was it easy to explain that to people here in Europe to recruit to go to Africa, or was that as big of a selling job as it was to the African company?
It actually, well, it was actually easier for the African companies because the African companies already had a global mentality. They wanted to recruit, they wanted to compete. But attracting the skill sets was actually an issue because saying to someone, hey, guess what? Jump on the next plane to Africa wasn't exactly exciting. But saying that, at the end of the day, most of these organizations were able to wave carrots in front of the potential candidates. It was the packages that they were putting together to attract good talent was very attractive.
How soon do you think it'll be in years where the people that are working in Africa will then go the opposite direction? In other words, there'll be so much skill set there that they'll be wanted elsewhere.
It's already happening. You already have that because if the skill sets are sought after, which is the case right now, the skills are already moving around. You have a situation whereby I do have friends who were initially working in an African country, say for example, they're working in Uganda, Sierra Leone, they're now working in Iran. And some of them actually working in England. That just shows you the trend in terms of what is now happening.
And where's that trend going now, do you think? I mean, should we just stop looking at it as saying African this or Africa that or Europe this? It's all global, and it should be that people are moving around very freely.
I would say yes and no to a certain extent. I think because of the current situation that you have in terms of you don't have a level playing field at the moment across, or should I say globally, Africa still needs a couple of handicaps to start off with to allow it to be able to catch up to a certain extent. Obviously, in terms of being able to catch up, rests on the shoulders of the government, providing more, what I would say is a competitive environment, good governance, for example, infrastructure, and all the things that the government needs to actually put in place for any kind of growth to actually happen.
It's fascinating to see that you're able to feel that things are stable enough in that region to be able to recruit people and bring people, and you yourself wanting to go back. That can change though, or is it not going to change?
Anything can change anywhere. Right now you have a situation globally that economically speaking, it's precarious. To a certain extent, with good governance, Africa will do well. It all hinges on the governance. The leaders themselves are actually willing to create an enabling environment whereby business can actually thrive.